senior here at South Dearborn High School, Miss Ryan Britton. She will be offering her thoughts, and if you would welcome her to the mic.
Hello everyone, I'm Ryan. I'm a senior, and first of all, congrats on being chosen for our last incentive breakfast of the year. I'll be honest, I was never chosen for the incentive breakfast, but I've always sang, like you saw, with the choir kids, and so I get to skip class and eat the food too, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm here, and I would like to talk about high school. I know a lot of you, some of you are seniors like me, so you're about out of here, but this is for the people, the underclassmen that have a few years to go. I know you guys get preached at a lot about high school, and I feel like you either get two things that people always say, and that's either that high school are the best years of your life and that you need to suck it up while you can, but you also get that they're the worst years of your life and that you are going to forget everyone and everything about it once you get out of there. But I don't believe either of these, because I say that high school is just about as good as you make it yourself. Because if you go into it thinking that you're going to have a terrible time, you're probably going to have a terrible time. But if you have the idea that you can make it good for yourself, then it's going to be good for you, and you might think about it in a good way. I'm not the best student academically. I'm not a model student. I get basic grades, I guess, which isn't looked upon in the best light most of the time. But I don't think that grades really show your intelligence as a person, and I can represent that by my sophomore year. I don't know if all of you guys remember Miss Listerman. I don't know if all of you were here for Miss Listerman, but she was very strict in her math class. I had her for Algebra 2 sophomore year, and I failed it. My first ever class I ever failed. I failed it so bad, and I beat myself up so hard for it. And it was because I was all A honor roll all through elementary school. I'm sure a lot of people know how that is. And you have this expectation for yourself. And so when I failed, I was like, I'm so stupid, and I was so convinced that I could get through it myself, and that I didn't need any tutoring, I didn't need anything to help me, I could get through it myself, but I didn't, and I failed it. And so I had to really set my expectations for myself and look back and be like, hey, I am not perfect, and I'm not going to be perfect by myself. So I retook the class, I took it general, and I aced it. It was just the fact that the honors class was just way too fast for me, and I was still smart. I just needed to go just at a slower pace. And that's one of the things that you need to think about. You need to set your expectations for yourself, because you can only reach the goals of your own self, if you know what I'm saying. And so, I'm just trying to say, if you ever get a bad grade, don't feel stupid. And I'm not trying to, discredit the people who have great GPAs, because I'm so proud of you guys, and I'm so proud of all my friends with perfect GPAs. It's so amazing. But you have your own expectations for yourself, and you can't beat yourself up over things like I did, because it really ruined some years for me. Okay, back to the subject of whether school sucks or not. Being in things like show choir, theater, I'm sure you guys have seen me and my friends up there, it really helped me through. So if you can get some kind of club, or you can get into some kind of anything after school, do it. Because I know people always say you're going to forget everybody and everything about school, but if you make these friends and you have these relationships, deep relationships with these people, you will never forget them, because I'm never going to forget them. And as I said before, high school is only going to be as nice as you make it. And if you choose to be kind, and I cannot stress this enough, respectful to the people around you, especially your teachers, then you might have a fond high school memory to look back on. Thank you.
Mrs. Gerber to the podium. She has a special recognition.
Good morning. Volunteers are an integral part of today's society. They are your grandparents, your parents, teenagers, uncles, aunts, sons, and daughters who make a difference by contributing time and energy to activities in areas that would not be successful without volunteers. The majority of their work, however, is done on an impromptu basis, whether it is the dramatic search for a lost child, rebuilding homes in the local tornado-stricken areas, or rescuing someone trapped in a car from rising waters due to torrential rains. Through the dedicated efforts of volunteers across America, we are building a culture of service, responsibility, and compassion, particularly among our young people. Before COVID, many large corporations, such as Baxter Health and Deloitte Touche, sent their employees out of the office for Community Service Day each spring or early summer, and yes, they paid them for that day. As we all know, acts of kindness have a profound effect on people's lives, not only on the future of South Dearborn, but the United States as well. This morning, we salute Mr. Sims, who has made a commitment to serve as my sidekick on the Incentive Breakfast Committee since the 1990s. He also directed around 20 dinner theater projects whose proceeds funded the Incentive Breakfast program. Mr. Sims has donated countless hours of his time and talents to improving and strengthening the educational environment at South Dearborn of his own free will, a true volunteer. He has set a fine example for our student body as he looked for a challenge and stepped forward and lent a hand. I encourage you to look forward to a challenge in your local communities and do the same. Step forward and lend a hand. At this time, Mr. Sims, would you please come forward and accept this token of appreciation?
Thank you, Ms. Gerber. It's a delightful surprise. Yes, for many, many years, Ms. Gerber and I did a dinner theater. We asked a student to write it. It was often very, very silly, and we looked forward to seeing Ms. Gerber's cameo appearance, and once in a while, myself in the play. And we did most of them in this very room. So we have a long history, and I echo what she said regarding volunteering. Find something that needs to be done and fill the void, and that's exactly what we have done all these years. We are so very proud of all of you, and your teachers are very proud of you. The name on your certificate, the teacher's name, means a great deal, because a teacher in this building shows you out of perhaps 100 kids. So that's a wonderful thing. Thank you very much, and thank you, Ms. Gerber.
All right, at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Borntrager to join me up here, and he'll assist me as we begin the recognition. So here's the way it's going to work, guys. I'll read the name. I'll hand the certificate to Mr. Borntrager. He'll hand it to you, shake hands. I would ask that you kind of circle around, go back all the way around to your seat. And then when we're done, we're going to take a group photo in the gymnasium, okay? So feel free to clap and applaud for each person and make sure that everyone receives the recognition they deserve. First up, receiving his incentive award from Mr. Monty, Justin Armstrong. From Miss Huffenmeyer, Mark Bailey. From Mrs. Darling, Taylor Ballard. From Mr. Bailey, Sydney Barth. From Mrs. Andrew, Mila Bennett. From Miss Gerber, Jessica Blueball. Jessica, actually, hold on, Jessica. Jessica receives a special designation. She received a recognition from 2 teachers, also from Mr. Karasik. From Mr. Colston, Jillian Bond. From Mrs. Sox, Keegan Bond. From Dr. Bowers, Hunter Booth. Recognized by Mr. Stratman, Tiana Dick. From Mrs. Nicholson, Gabrielle Eldridge. From Mr. Kraft, Layla Ellis. From Mrs. Dole, Charles C.J. Evans. From Mr. Adam Wheat, Braden Voist. From Mrs. Worley, Justin Gallagher. From Miss Elliott, Remy Hensley. From Mr. Bradley, Josh Horton. From Mr. Kirchgassner, Haley Huber. From Mrs. Selmeyer, Brady Huff. From Mrs. Nicholson, Donald Judd. From Miss Wood, Aaron Kunkel. From Miss Heitmeyer, Abby Lane. From Mr. Zimmerman, Jorge Lasacobo. From Mrs. Ballard, Amanda Matthews. From Mrs. Jones, McKenna Murray. From Dr. Sowers, Riley Piercy. From Mrs. Hartle, Carly Richardson. From Mrs. Cohorst, Bryce Brokamp. From Mrs. David, Michaela Brudisel. From Mr. Johnson, Brandon Sasson. From Mr. Beach, Nakia Scruggs. From Mrs. Morris, Alex Spears. From Mr. Milan, Casey Tibbetts. From Mr. Selmeyer, Diane Tolentino. From Mr. Pilata, Nathaniel Ulrich. And for Mrs. Pettit, Avery Mustafa. Did I miss anyone? All right, give yourself a little round of applause. Congratulations, we appreciate your efforts. It's not always the grades, it's the willingness to help others, to volunteer, as Mrs. Gerber has pointed out, and as Mr. Sims has modeled. Thank you for your efforts. What I would ask is, before we dismiss today, is that we head to the gymnasium. I want in this first section here, go down the stairs, fill in the middle, and we will take a quick picture. You should have received, along with your certificate, a gift card to McDonald's, and would you like to recognize that? Thank you and congratulations.